Befriending, which is one of my charities, which I'm one of my charities. I'm only going to try and speak for about an hour. Not too long. But I first got into this as the deputy of a first event I went to, really, was at the Fusion, wasn't it, part of it? And I'll always remember what really got me into thinking about this. You know, I was there giving out certificates to all the helpers and all the dedicated supporters that we had. And just about everything I finished, a lady rushed in and she said, have I missed it? Have I missed that? She said, oh yeah, I missed it. I just wanted to come, she said, because your volunteers made my mum's last year of life a bit bearable because she had someone to talk to. And I thought, oh God, that's what we should be doing. You know, seeking out people that need someone to chat to and talk to. And one of the things about that is it's not really an age thing, in my view. And Wendy took me to Invictus Girls Grammar, which is a fantastic school, and they've raised £50,000 a year, which I was a bit in awe of. And Wendy took me along, because obviously I was the mayor and one of the supporters, and when Wendy was speaking, it was how the children were all listening. And the thing is about this, it does cover all age groups, because it doesn't matter what age you are. You can all be lonely for one reason or another. And I said that to the children at the time. And that's why I'm very keen to support Wendy in all her efforts, because as usual, when something's successful, there's always one or two people that carry it on. And in my mayoral year, I thought I could do that, and hopefully donate a bit of money. Hopefully it will be a bit of money, not as much as I would like, but it will be a bit of money, and that's why I'm honoured to be here today. And to see all these people here today, and a lot of people I know, and fellow councillors at the back, and I think that has been my job, my mission, and I want to carry that on. And Wendy's kindly agreed that I can carry on and be an ambassador, and I will do that, because once I get into something, I don't let it go. And if it's in Maidstone, and if it is further afield over Kent, I don't mind that either, because I think we'll be doing what we really need at the moment, is this loneliness. I don't know how to get over. I know we have a minister for loneliness now, but how to get over that, and I think this is one of the organisations that will set the standard on how we get over that. So I'm very pleased to be here today and supporting and to see all these friendly people that I know, which is quite nice. Especially with the way things are at the moment, but obviously this service will prove itself in time, and with the dedicated supporters that it has, because in any organisation you need to have your dedicated supporters, and Wendy is seeking them out, and they are very dedicated, and that's what we need. So to be here today is an honour for me, and to start it off even more special. So anyway, I won't speak for too long. I will now hand over to Wendy, who is the instigator and will set the standard for these sort of services in the future.
Do you know, it's really surprising what after a free cup of tea, a free cupcake, and a couple of hours off on a Friday afternoon can do, because I'm absolutely amazed at the turnout today. So thank you everyone for coming. Thank you to the Mayor. As he's already mentioned, not only have we been fortunate enough to be selected as one of the Mayor's chosen charities for the year, but we're also very grateful today for his continued support to the West Kent Befriending Service as one of our ambassadors. So ladies and gentlemen, I think it's probably about time I told you a little bit about the West Kent Befriending Service, just in case any of you here are not too sure who we are or what we do. In January 2014, Kent County Council invested nearly £500,000 in a 2-year pilot project to try and tackle the issues of loneliness and isolation. Half of that grant was awarded to a group of 7 independent charities within West Kent, of which Age UK was one. Their joint mission, should we decide to take it, was to set up, launch and deliver a new befriending service. And the West Kent Befriending Service was born. I saw the job of befriending coordinator advertised and thought this was something that I'd quite like to find out more about. It was tough at first, it was a new project, there was nothing in place, no project plan, no literature, no policies, and certainly no clients or volunteers. It was a challenging but an exciting time. The referrals trickled through at first, just like any pilot project, but once we became established, the floodgates opened. After 2 years, when the pilot project had come to an end, the evidence of need proved that not only was Befriending needed in West Kent, but it was desperately needed. But prior to the cessation of funding and in preparation for this, we applied to the Reaching Communities Lottery Fund. However, sadly, the bid was unsuccessful, and therefore each individual charity had to look within their own organisation to see if they could independently fund their own befriending service. It was actually quite a sad time because most of the 7 charities that formed the West Kent Befriending Service could simply not afford to run the service independently. However, fortunately, not only for the older people of Maidstone, but for me also, Age UK Maidstone, seeing the positive results from Befriending and the impact it had on so many older people, agreed to employ me to deliver the befriending service in and around Maidstone. Having successfully established the name of West Kent Befriending Service for 2 years already, it made perfect sense to maintain that name, and so we officially then became West Kent Befriending Service, a service of Age UK Maidstone. So that's a little bit about how we began, but what exactly does the befriending service do? Well, simply put, we support volunteers who make regular visits, usually once a week for an hour or two, to an older person who may, for a variety of reasons, be experiencing some form of loneliness or isolation. And these visits take place initially within the member's own home, and I will just mention at this point that people who receive our befriending service are called members and not clients. In the 5 years the West Kent Befriending Service has operated over Maidstone, we have helped over 385 older people. You'll hear a little later about the impact of befriending. However, just now I want to mention some rather amazing people. Our fantastic, wonderful volunteers, because without them we literally would not have a befriending service. We currently have about 125 registered volunteers, and it's them who keep not only the service going, but me too. And I'm sure there must be a couple of witches amongst them, you know, because somehow they always seem to know when I've had a tough day, because out of the blue I'll get a little text or an email to say how much they love what they're doing, and they'll tell me something heartwarming or amusing that's happened when they visit their friend. So with 125 volunteers, at the moment 85 older people receiving regular weekly visits, and referrals coming in almost daily, it came to a point last year when I had to admit defeat. Simply, the amount of people needing support were too many for one staff member. And so very reluctantly, I had to put a temporary closure on new referrals to the service, something we'd never had to do before, and it certainly did not sit well with me. What we needed was more staff. What we did not have was more money to pay more staff. With desperation often comes the need for desperate measures, and last May saw the arrival of the Fancy and Natter Club. And there was me, at the ripe old age of 58, living out my role as a wannabe beauty pageant contestant, because suddenly there I was, donning my rather fetching bright yellow sash, which is now beautifully modelled by volunteer Ian. So basically, well, just put myself out there, and I know that doesn't sound really very proper, does it? But that's really what I did. I literally went around Maidstone, available to chat to anyone and everyone who really just fancied a natter. I set up a fundraising page to enable people to donate to the fund, the end goal to raise sufficient money to be able to employ a part-time staff member, which in turn would enable us to take on more referrals. Wonderful Denise, editor of the Kent Messenger, and reporter extraordinaire Luke May supported me every step of the way. They published a list of where and when I would be available to natter, including various cafes, Maidstone Hospital, the mall, and I even spent one day travelling up and down on the bus, chatting to people at the bus stop and on the bus too. The money started to come in quicker than I could hope for, and the public and media support was amazing. After one long day of busy nattering, I I returned home, quite reluctantly took off my sash, because I've got quite used to wearing it by then, turned on the computer to see how the fundraising page was going, and in absolute shock, I saw that a lump sum of a staggering £5,000 had been donated. It had come from the Joan Ainsley Charitable Trust. But who were they, and how did they know about Fancy a Natter? After jumping around the room and squealing quite a lot, I contacted them to convey my thanks and be told that one of their trustees lived locally to Maidstone and had seen the reports in the local press. So we'd finally done it, and there was enough money to look at recruiting a part-time staff member. We welcomed Diane Bromley, already a Befriending volunteer, but now a staff member too, and at the same time we celebrated with the reopening of the Befriending service once again. During the following weeks, however, donations still continued to come in. One volunteer even celebrated her 80th birthday by holding a garden party and asking her friends for money so she could donate it to the Fancy a Natter Club. Invicta Grammar School had already chosen the West Kent Befriending Service as one of their ag charities, but having heard about the Fancy a Natter campaign from a pupil whose parent is one of our own volunteers, they were proud to present us with a cheque for an amazing £2,618.78. The support from the public was indeed amazing. We decided to follow up on the Fancy a Natter campaign with just one more day of publicised nattering, choosing the 30th of July, World Friendship Day, for this event. Welcome to It Matters to Natter. Our aim for this event was not only to raise funds, but just as vital, we wanted to raise awareness of how important it was to simply talk to each other. And the ask was just for one day, could everyone please speak to one person that you wouldn't ordinarily speak to. It was, of course, another opportunity for me to get that sash out once again, but as you can see, this time a rather fetching blue sash, with the words, "It matters to natter." Enter stage left Helen Grant, and together we targeted shops and businesses in Maidstone Town Centre, asking them to pledge not only money, but the promise to talk to someone that they would not usually speak to. Another success, and over the few months of nattering, the grand total raised was a staggering £11,350. I'm now going to hand over and introduce you to another one of our ambassadors, who also happens to be that rather fantastic lady who helped me with all the nattering. The MP for Maidstone and the Weald, Helen Grant.
Thank you very much indeed for that, Wendy, and I just like to say, my goodness, I am so pleased to be here in Maidstone, Kent today, and not in Westminster. Just had to get that off my chest. But it is fabulous to see so many of you here today for the launch of this very special campaign. And I just want to say that Wendy is a rather special person, and I would like to take the opportunity to thank her and her amazing team at West Kent Befriending Service for all that they do in this area to help and support some of our most isolated and vulnerable people. And I think this is she's an incredible person and actually an inspiration to me and many of the people in my office. I think that loneliness is something that affects all of us at one time or another in our lives. It certainly affected me just after I'd had my first son, and I'd had a life up until then of school, university, working in big, busy legal firms in London, and then I had Ben. My husband went off to work, and I was left in a house on my own all day and for a lot of the evening too, while Simon was at work. And it seems strange, but I've never felt so lonely. Even though I had a baby to care for, there was no one to talk to, and I'll never forget that. And that was one of the reasons why when Wendy asked me to be involved, I thought, yes, I will do that. And again, Dave mentioned too, loneliness is not something that just affects older people. It can as well, and it certainly affected me. Government, of course, has a role to play, and I was delighted that they appointed my pal, Tracy Crouch, to be the first Minister for Loneliness, and it's a post that is now held by a lovely person as well, Miss Davis, who's working very, very hard. But I think although government do have to do things, and do have to put money into good projects like Wendy's, I think some of the most effective ways to help people who are lonely are those random acts of kindness, those simple acts of reaching out. And I think West Kent Befriending Service are so good at that. And I think that's what you are really very much all about. It's about reaching out. It's just recognising when someone needs something and responding to it instead of just simply walking by. It's a pleasure to work with you, Wendy. I really enjoyed the Matters to Natter campaign, and I very much look forward to being involved in this Supporting Friendship campaign, which one I know will be just as good. So thank you very much indeed.
So the money raised during the various nattering campaigns was amazing. However, what became evident to me during those weeks was a real eye-opener, because it was an area that I'd never really considered before, and that was the desperate need for befriending, but outside of the home too. Yes, the face-to-face befriending was always at the heart of our service, but in that week that I was out and about, I discovered so many people of all ages who really just wanted someone to chat to. One of the cafes that I spent an afternoon in during the Fancy and Natter week was Harper's Coffee and Gifts. Owners Claudine and Nick welcomed me with open arms, explaining that they see so many older people sitting alone that they'd already discussed ways in which they could help. Well, help they did, as June last year saw the first Harper's Monday meetup, which since then has been a regular event on the second Monday of each month, and we now have at least 25 regular Harperettes, as we call them, getting together, and some of them are here today, so try and find out who they are and say hello to them. Bearing in mind these people did not even know each other a few months ago, just listen to this. During Fancy and Natter week, we were also approached by Ariva, who, just like our friends Claudine and Nick from Harper's, wanted to help in some way too. And September last year saw our first talking bus with 25 older people leaving the Maidstone bus centre on the way to Tenterden to spend the day together, chatting on the bus, nattering all the way, having a light lunch, and then returning together, still nattering all the way. We had a great publicity with KMTV and even BBC South East covering the day out. To say say the talking bus has been a hit is an understatement. We've had 3 talking bus events now, and the last one, there were 39 of us all clambering on the board the number 7 to Tunbridge. In fact, there were so many of us that Arriva even put on a shadow bus for the regular passengers. But I tell you, they are like a group of naughty school children. We even had the naughty group rushing for the back seat, and I soon knew why, by drawing pictures on the steamed up windows. Oliver Monaghan is the area director of Arriva, and also another one of our ambassadors. And I'm going to tell you a little secret now. I think he actually appears to have his own little fan club going with those ladies on the bus. And did I actually hear you right, Oliver? Did you really suggest a trip to the beach next time?
I have, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
The Invicta Grammar School has supported us in various ways over the past 5 years. But the pupils, having seen the result of nattering campaigns, now had an even greater understanding of the need to involve themselves with older people who might be experiencing loneliness. And with this in mind, Tilly Head, a sixth form student at Invicta, organised an older person's community day at school, inviting many of our members for a day of entertainment and socialisation. Intergenerational befriending at its best. Community befriending has started quite by accident, but look how it's evolved in really just a few months. It's given us another insight into the lives of all those people experiencing isolation and the need for companionship, and really just to know that someone cares. I'm now going to hand over to our 2 remaining ambassadors. Unfortunately, Julie Derrick is unable to be here today, but she has asked Deputy Van to come and speak on behalf of her. And followed by Van will be Oliver Monaghan, who is also one of our ambassadors.
Thank you very much, Wendy, for inviting us to today, and thank you all for coming. It's lovely to be here, and it's wonderful to see so many of you coming here. It is an honour for Invicta students and staff to be supporting you. We take some inspiration from the work that you have been doing, and as a school, I'd like to think that our students and staff are kind and caring, and raising money for charity has always been our joy, something that we love doing. We do that with compassion and creativity. As the Mayor mentioned earlier, over the last few years we have always been raising over £50,000 a year for various different charities, and your charity has always been in our heart. When our students heard of your service, they unreservedly chose you to be their RAP charity, because they all could relate to the work that you have been doing. They all have at least a grandparent who might experience loneliness at times. And from the experience that they have done as well, our students, as Wendy mentioned, before Christmas, a group of our sixth form students organised a community day where the whole of 350 students in the sixth form went out to the community, worked with various different organisations and spent a day giving up their time rather than just the money that we raised. And a group of them, led by Tilly Head, actually had a lovely day. Actually, the pleasure was on them. They got a lot out of it, and we hope that the people that they worked with had a lovely day as well, and they made a difference there. Our students have always been working with old age pensioners. They run a club called Befriending 60, where they teach the members of the club how to use computers, how to get on the internet, dare I say social media. I hope they don't get too much into it and get on the social media even more than they do. So with that, without further ado, Wendy, I just want to say that we take inspiration from the work that we do, that you do, and we will do everything that we can, raising money, giving up time, and make contribution in any way to keep your service alive and growing. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I can only really apologise because everyone else has said everything I came to say. So some hastily noted points I'd like to point out. And it was just to say that when we approached Age UK, it came from a staff engagement session, feedback from our staff survey, which was talked to our frontline staff, our drivers, what do you want us to do? And they said they wanted to do something to get us back into our communities, hence asking Age UK to kindly put us in contact with Wendy. So I guess as with so many great things, it was just luck and timing. I was proud to be asked to be an ambassador. The reason why I replied so rapidly, I think you did say it was only a couple of minutes, wasn't it? By email was one, I was sat in front of the laptop when the email came through, but also that I can relate to this directly. I've got parents that are in advanced in years, and I've noticed loneliness becoming part of their daily routine, but also I saw it with my own grandparents, but also as a student. I lived away from home for the first time, and I was 106 miles from my parents. And so loneliness is not just about those of a certain age or an advanced age, but how the community works. And that's why we were so keen to participate. We are on every high street. We stretch over the area the West Kent Befriending service supports, but also we're there to help. We want to connect our communities. And to give you really, as I end, to say, I haven't got a lot to say, as has been said already. She was in the video, but I can't see her. I've been looking across the audience desperately, looking for Anne. But I've been to two of the Talking Bus events, the Tenterden and the Tonbridge. And at both of those, I met separate neighbours who live in Maidstone. I now live in Maidstone, having moved down only a couple of months ago. And as a new person, it was actually quite useful for me to find someone who lived 5 doors away on a talking bus and have a good cup of tea and a chat and an introduction. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like Anne's here. I was hoping Anne would be here, but no. This is ultimately about people, and that's what is so important to us at Arriva. So we're proud to be a part of this. I'm personally honoured and flattered to be asked, but I think, yeah, I wish you all very great success, and you know you've got my personal support and that of Arriva in Kent and Surrey.
So hopefully now you've all got a fairly good idea about who the Befriending service is, how we started, the services we offer. You will have heard about the wonderful support we've already had, not just from our volunteers, but from the local community too. Well, it's said that a picture can say 1,000 words, and I know that a video can portray 1,000 more. So I'm really excited now to introduce you to Gareth from Play Mountain Social Media. Gareth and Sam have spent many hours with us over the past couple of months, capturing all the different areas of befriending. Their professionalism and patience has been unbelievable, and I know that Gareth has also freely given much of his time too. The idea of the filming came from Jane Shotliff, who is the Community Liaison Manager from Inspired Villages Group. Jane contacted me a couple of months ago, having heard about the Befriending service and how Inspired Villages could help. With the knowledge of this campaign looming, we decided the best way we could showcase our service to you was to have a film made so that you can see for yourself just how befriending impacts the life of all our members. So a really huge thank you to Inspired Villages Group and of course to Gareth and Sam from Play Mountain Social Media. Gareth is going to show us the video in a moment. It's very exciting as this is the first time it's ever been shown, and even I haven't seen the finished result. I'm not sure if that's such a good idea, but we'll see. Some of our film stars are actually here today, so see if you can spot them afterwards. But just before that, however, I would like to welcome Jamie Bunce, the Managing Director of Inspired Villages, who has very generously sponsored this video. And Jamie is going to say a few words now.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Wendy. Yeah, just a quick introduction. My name is Jamie Bunce. I run a business called Inspired Villages Group. We're an operator and developer of retirement communities, working in proud partnership with Legal and General. We currently have 6 villages, looking after over 1,000 people across the UK. We have a plan to raise that to 50 villages by 2025, looking after around about 13,500 people. We're just about to start a scheme in Leeds, which is where Jane is now working over there, and proud to be associated with Kent and yourself. For us at Retirement Villages, we deliver quality housing for the ageing population. Our apartments are specifically designed to allow people to age in place and to be living with us for the rest of their lives and having care as much or as little as they need. We have a series of key initiatives, and one of our major focuses on tackling the huge issue of loneliness. Even in retirement communities, 82% of people say they hardly feel lonely. 1% still feel lonely. So we have a business where we want to try and raise that 82% so more people don't feel lonely and eradicate that 1% even in our own community. We then can work with the wider community, the areas that we're operating in the UK in order to tackle this chronic issue. I'm proud to say we have 5 key initiatives and values within our business. And one of our key initiatives is to enable any one member of our staff to have time to have a cup of tea. So just to sit down and have time. We'll never criticise anybody for just spending time with our residents' family, with their fellow staff members and their families. Because we think that's a massive thing to tackle. I'm super keen to support this initiative and tackle this massive problem of loneliness and anxiety for us. And thank you very much for asking us to be involved. Thank you.
My name is Wendy Pfeiffer and I manage the West Kent Befriending service along with my colleague Diane Bromley. The West Kent Befriending service is a completely free service for older people within Maidstone and the surrounding villages.
Just like technical issue, I'm going to start that.
My name is Wendy Pfeiffer and I manage the West Kent Befriending service along with my colleague Diane Bromley. The West Kent Befriending service is a completely free service for older people within Maidstone and the surrounding villages. We offer free face-to-face befriending where a volunteer will visit somebody in their own home, usually once a week for about an hour to an hour and a half. And we also offer a number of community befriending events. Our one-to-one befriending is really at the heart of our befriending service, and that's where we started in 2014. Since then, we have helped well over 300 older people with visits within their own home. One day can be a very, very long time if they don't get to see anyone at all. So the befriending service really helps those people and also gives something back to the volunteer as well. They actually love doing the role. We have got the most amazing group of volunteers within the befriending service.
For the befriending, it was perfect for me really because it's flexible. Because George didn't want a rigid timetable.
And it suited me. Very, very nice to meet you, David.
Yeah,
and I mean, we've met several times, haven't we?
Yeah.
Always found something to talk about.
No, we always do.
Yeah.
Something new to chat about.
So George, when you know David's coming, do you look forward to that visit?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah, only don't come too
Did you miss Ola? She didn't miss
I've missed her a lot. Yes. She's gone on holiday, and I've said, Ola is back next week. I've always looked forward to her coming back and hearing all about her holiday. Otherwise, I don't hear anything about what goes on outside.
I wanted to volunteer because of my uncle, who I saw the change in when he started living alone, not only in his personality but also in his health. So when he passed away that year, I just wanted to give back to other people what he missed out on.
She's a very strong spirit and a character, so
She don't shut up.
she's a chatterbox.
And we hit it off from the very first minute, I
We
think.
did. 2 days in the pod. We're very, very well matched. Wendy did a good job there.
Yeah. Yes, it's really strange because I actually tell my friends that Wendy's my adopted granny. Because it's strange just to say I'm going to see my friend, because you can't just say I'm going to see my friend or I'm going to see Wendy. Just see, who's Wendy? Well, Wendy is my adopted granny.
We run a number of community befriending events within Maidstone. One of them is in Harper's Coffee and Gifts. We decided to hold a regular monthly meeting. It's now called Harper's Monday Meetup. And that has grown considerably over the last few months, and we now have at least 25 older people who come there and have made friends with each other.
It's an amazing thing. Wendy is just amazing. She really is amazing. And the West Kent Befriending Service, it's not just Wendy, it's everyone else who works with her. It's just an amazing thing they're doing, and I feel really privileged to be part of it.
One of our more unusual community befriending events is in conjunction with Saks Hair Academy. Nicola from Saks contacted us last year, inviting any of our members to go to see them on a Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday, and they can be completely pampered for a couple of hours by having their hair cut. That's men and women. They can have their hair cut, shampooed, restyled. At the same time, it gives the older person something to look forward to, and the young people there get to chat to them as well.
It's been great working with Wendy and the team at the West Kent Befriending Service. They've been really helpful and are helping to work towards our goal of combating loneliness and isolation in the local community, whilst allowing clients to come in and our learners to use their skills to offer them a great service.
The Talking Bus is a really popular community event. It's run in conjunction with the Riva. The idea of the bus journey is to just get people together, older people who perhaps wouldn't normally feel the confidence to go out by themselves. Some people don't even know about the bus passes, so this is a way of encouraging them to obtain their bus pass, and hopefully they meet other people, become friends, and then they can go out on the buses themselves independently of the befriending service.
So often in life we're so busy and so rushed, we operate in isolation with everyone around us. What I feel with the West Kent Befriending Services is actually helping not only those it's targeting, but everyone on the periphery as well.
It makes me feel really, really wonderful. I've had long periods of illness in the last few days. To be able to go out and enjoy myself means an awful lot.
The Supporting Friendships campaign has been launched to encourage members of the public to sign up to become regular monthly donors. We are a completely free service to all our members, whether that be face-to-face befriending or our community befriending events. Therefore, we need to ensure that this service is here forever for anyone that needs the befriending service. We would also encourage any businesses within Maidstone, if they're perhaps looking for a charity of the year, or they would like to support us in any way financially, it would be absolutely wonderful. We were very fortunate to have been approached by Inspired Villages Group, who offered to sponsor this video to be made of the befriending service so that we could showcase what we do. And thanks also to Gareth from Plain Mountain Social Media, who has spent many, many hours making this video.
So in conclusion, the main reason for this event today is to tell you about our new campaign supporting friendships. Befriending is and always will be a free service to our members, because there must never be a cost to friendship. However, with the lack of funding for services such as ours, there is always a concern as to our financial stability, and the aim of this campaign, therefore, is to encourage members of the public to become regular monthly donors. With this in mind, if you're interested in doing this, or perhaps you know someone that might be, we've all been given the sign-up details in your programme, and we also have pin badges for you today. As I mentioned earlier, the West Kent Befriending Service has been very fortunate that over the last 2.5 years, we have been supported through Age UK Maidstone, who believe in the Befriending Service and are committed to support it in any way they can. However, reserves do not last forever, and just this week, the West Kent Befriending Service has been advised that the continuation and delivery of the service as it currently stands is at risk today more than ever before. Therefore, this campaign could really not come at a better time, because this is a perfect opportunity for us to reach out to you, members of the public, potential funders, councillors, businesses and other voluntary organisations who might be present here today. Diane and I are 100% dedicated to our members, and we will do just about anything to save this service so that so many people depend on. And of course, if that involves wearing a sash, so much the better. Business charity of the year, donations, sponsored events, grants available. If you know of anything or anyone that can help, please speak to me. I won't lie to you, this week has been a tough one, but I have absolute faith that we will find a way to ensure that we will always be here for each and every older person who needs us. Here is a 122-page document. This is a report released just last month from KCC's Loneliness and Isolation Select Committee. The report recognises that loneliness and isolation is a huge matter of concern. There are many, many recommendations in the report, but don't panic, I'm not going to read them all. However, you might like to look the report up when you get home because it does make interesting reading. Here, I've got 23 sheets of paper. Each piece of paper represents a lonely older person. 23 referrals that we have received in just the last 8 weeks. 23 people who are not asking much, just for someone to show that someone cares and give them something to look forward to. 23 faceless, nameless people to you, but people who have felt so lonely that they have turned to the Befriending Service to help. If we do not receive financial stability that we need to maintain this service, what is going to happen to those people, or the 10 or 20 other people who will be referred to us next month and the month after? What will happen to our wonderful days out that make so much difference to people that Anne is willing, despite her physical pain, to get on the bus from Lennon on a Monday morning and travel all the way to Maidstone to meet up with her friends at Harper's? We must keep this service, and by saving the service, we can then, as the campaign suggests, continue to support the friendships that have been made. So you'll probably be relieved to know that I have just about finished, and you can soon make your way out to the tea and cakes. However, before that, a while ago I mentioned to you about a rather amazing group of people, and they are my wonderful volunteers and Befriending and supporters. Because they are the people, they are the backbone of this Befriending service. Each one of them feels so passionately about saving this service that they've actually asked me if they can come here today so that they can tell you for themselves. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming today for this. My name's Sue, and I'm just one of Wendy's many volunteers for the Befriending service. I'd like to read a quote from one of our members. My very dear friend Carol comes to me every Monday afternoon. I can't find the words to praise her enough. I'm so glad she came to me. In 6 years of living here, I've not found a true friend. She's very dear to me and I miss her so much on odd occasions when she can't come. If the world was full of Carols, it would be a better place to live in. I hope I'm as good a friend to her as she is to me.
Hello, my name's Lorraine from Vanda. I was introduced to raised about 3 years ago when her family asked Age UK if they could help. We hit it off straight away. She was in her early 90s, Welsh, very lonely. She saw no one all day, just the TV was their company. Tuesdays, 10 o'clock, I would arrive. And we were just talking, have a cup of tea. At the beginning, she would come into the kitchen and make the tea. If the weather was nice, we'd sit at the back door and have a look at her lovely garden, which was tended twice a fortnight, every other week. Eventually, her legs didn't work, so I would make the tea and we'd sit out, just in the living room. I never saw Grace outside her home. We became good friends, talked about all sorts of things, had some laughs, and tears too. I smiled on Tuesdays, Thursday mornings when I walked in, so went so much. And I tried to hug when I left, said so much as well. And she passed away in February.
Hello, my name is Trish and I'm a friend. Somebody who is friendly. Dear Wendy, I am very pleased with your service. I am 94, live alone and can't go out. All of my friends have died. I enjoy Heidi's visits. I tell them about my young life. I thank you very much for the visits. I enjoy them very much. And so do I. Appreciate it.
Morning everyone, my name's Jerry and I'm a befriender, and this is a referral from one of those referrals that Wendy held a few moments ago. Stanley lives on his own and he's housebound. His wife is in a care home in Dover, but he never gets to visit her. He has a son and a daughter, but they have no contact with him at all. Apart from care visits twice a day, Stanley has no visitors and is lonely and very isolated.
Good morning everyone, I'm Alison, I'm a befriender. I've been visiting Madeline, my lady, my friend, for nearly 3 years in the summer. When I first visited her, she could get around a little bit, but about 1.5 years ago, her legs gave up completely. So she's completely housebound unless I take her up the road in her wheelchair, which I do when the weather's good. I probably do a lot more for her than I need to as a befriender, but that's what friends do. She's 92 and she relies on me quite a lot. She doesn't have any family nearby, but it's not just what she gets out of it, it's what I get out of it as well. My kids are older now, they don't need me, but Madeline does.
Hi, I'm Kerry and I'm a friend. I'm going to read a quote from one of the members. Our friend Roz is a delightful lady and she's extremely thoughtful. Mum is totally housebound now and Roz brings in her a breath of fresh air and new topics of conversation. Despite her condition, Mum maintains an interest in all that is going on and Roz is able to bring with her a bit of the outside world. And I'm sure Mum enjoys a break from nattering with me. Thank you very much, Roz, for giving up your free time. We truly appreciate your generosity.
Hello, I'm Sue and I'm also a befriender, and I'm going to read an excerpt from a referral that Wendy's received. Sadly, on the 20th of January this year, Tom's wife passed away in Maidstone Hospital, and Tom was so distressed that he was admitted under a social admission. Tom and Barbara were married for 40 years and have no children. Tom explained that he and his wife did everything together. He has no friends. Understandably, Tom is tearful, but he said he would like a befriender to visit him.
Okay, hi guys. So I feel like a bit of a fraud. I'm surrounded by all these lovely volunteers and I've got an admission, I'm not a volunteer and I feel awful now. But what I am is I'm a granddaughter of someone who receives the befriending support. So I've actually had to write something just for you guys to actually know what it's like to be a family member of someone who receives the support. So in April 2017, we lost my nana on my mum's side. It was a massive shock to the family because it was a massive deterioration, and we always said that my granddad, my papa, would be the one who would go first. And we're a strong family, so we stuck together and we knew we had to find a new method to be able to support my granddad. They'd been married 65 years and pretty much never spent a day apart or couldn't remember their days apart.
Now, my mum approached the West Kent Befriending Service in Wendy and got a brief introduction as to what the West Kent Befriending Service did. Now, shortly after that, we actually lost my mum in November of 2017, which left me and my sister to be the only ones who were left to care for my granddad in England. And luckily, Wendy kept that communication line open. Now, from January 2018, my granddad has had David, who actually saw him, was the one who said, "Oh, I don't want you to visit me that much." Because he still keeps his independence and he still has that, I'm a strong 92-year-old man who can do it on my own. But sadly, actually, he can't do it on his own. He shuffles from the sofa to the bed and then shuffles back and forth, and that's about it. Now, my sister and I have really struggled over the last 2 years to be able to actually visit my granddad and keep him entertained. And my sister doesn't live in Kent, so she's further out, so she can only come every 3 weeks. She's got a 2-year-old. And then there's me, who's 24, trying to figure out what full-time work is after getting my degree. So I can only go once a weekend, if that. And as you can see, we're women, and my granddad is a very strong man. And he doesn't have any men surrounding him. And he was stuck in his house, and you can have that manly conversation. He didn't have to use a remote. He didn't have anyone to kind of say, "Well, George, this is what you need to do. These are the challenges you need to look at." And ever since being with David, number one, my granddad's not stopped watching Only Fools and Horses, which is amazing. Actually, he gets that time to know about his granddaughters. You can only go and see him every now and again, or the wacky colours that his youngest granddaughter's dyed her hair, or the textures piercings that she's got, and Dad will just sit there and listen. Whereas I'll probably sit there and roll my eyes because it's what and it's giving him that strength. And in the last 6 months, we've seen my granddad turn into a human. He's left the house, he's gone and done things, albeit in a little scooter chair, but he's done it on his own, and he's never had to do anything on his own. David's the one who's giving him that strength to be able to do it. So massive thank you to West Kent Befriending Service. And if you can support, please do.
Hello, my name is Yvonne and I'm a befriender, and I'd like to read this quote to you. When Joan comes, it's a joy to see her. We often talk things over and I'm unhappy about, but she always makes me see things in a different light. She helps me so much, and this enables my husband to have space. She helps us so much. I feel she's become a close friend. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Claudine. I'm married to the rather hairy dude in the video. Make it that woman will. And I own Harper's with my husband. Now, we met Wendy, she said, I won't repeat everything she said, but the thing that became apparent to us very early on from having the shop is the need for that sense of community, the need for people to come in and have someone to talk to. And we do have a large customer base of older clients, some who come on their own, some who come there to meet up with friends. And we felt obliged, and obviously we wanted to as well, to be able to continue and build on that service and call it divine intervention, I don't know, but in through our door one day walked Wendy, and that was the start of the Monday meetups and everything else, and it really is amazing. And if you're around on the second Monday of any month and you want to pop in and see for yourselves, or you know someone that could do with the service, please do, because it really is, it's quite special, it's lovely. It's very, I'm very privileged to be a part of it. I think it's very easy for all of us to detach ourselves from anything really, be it loneliness, be it the older community, be it the younger community, be it drug-related problems, alcoholism. If it doesn't affect you directly, it's very easy to say, well, that person over there is doing a great job, carry on. It does affect all of us, actually. It's your community, it's my community. It might be you one day, it might be me one day, it might be your loved ones, it might be your son, your daughter, your nan, your aunt, whoever. So I think it's food for thought really. It will affect everyone, it should affect everyone. And as a result, I think everybody needs to get involved, even if it is, and you're not in a position to be a volunteer, because everyone's not. I'm not, unfortunately, I'd love to. I won't do that later, won't do. But everyone can do their own bit. And I just want to say a little story. I wanted to do this, but there's a little thing that happened a couple of months ago. I was in Iceland getting milk, running from place to place as I do, and there was a chap standing there with his basket, and he was probably well in his 80s, and he had about 4 things in his basket, and he was standing by, and I was rushing around like everyone else, and he was stepping back and trying to make eye contact with everybody, and he was letting them go forward in the queue. And people were just like, yeah, great, thanks mate, and getting their stuff and going. And then he looked at me and I was like, no, I was about 15 pints of milk. I was like, no, fine. And he was like, no, go ahead. So I did. Thank you very much. Put my milk down. And I just turned around and he was standing there and he had 4 muffins in front of him, and he was reading the back of the muffin packet, like it was a Jane Austen or something, like really reading it. And I just leaned over and I looked at him and I said, I'd have the chocolate one first if I were you. And he looked up and we made eye contact and he gave me the most beautiful smile. And it was just that little bit of magic. It was amazing. He just, you know, I like to think I made a little bit of a difference to his morning. Got outside, burst out crying, and then kicked myself the rest of the day that I didn't tell him to come down for a coffee and share the muffin with me. But it's the smallest things that can make a difference. And if, for whatever reason, this service doesn't continue, can't continue, it would be an absolute travesty. So I think everybody has a responsibility to do what they can to keep it going. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Fiora and this is a quote from one of our members. I would like to thank Namisha and Rachel for all the help they give me with my computer and my writing. I have lost my independence and they help me so much. They are both so patient and kind. I am very grateful to them both and the Befriending service.
Hi, my name is Olga. I'm one of the Befrienders, and I'm just going to read one of the referrals that Wendy has received. I am a 92-year-old widowed lady living alone. My husband died 3 years ago, and my eyesight is rather poor and still fading further. I do not go out very often, only to the doctor's surgery occasionally, and the hairdressers once a fortnight, which my daughter takes me to. Apart from that, I do not go out or see anyone else except the boy who delivers my groceries from Morrison's. I would like to meet some new people.
Hello everyone, my name's Rebecca and I'm a Befriender, and I'm going to read a quote from a member. Sometimes I feel 4 walls have become a prison. I have only known David, my befriending volunteer, for the past few months, but he's become someone I can talk and listen to with complete ease. He will help me with minor irritants, such as a wall clock that refuses to go to me, but immediately responds to David's magic touch. I really look forward to his visits. I see David as a lifeline to the outside world. Long may his visits continue. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jo and I'm a Befriender. I joined the Befriending service a little over a year ago. I was introduced to my lovely friend Wendy, my adopted granny, as you saw. Last year we have been seeing a lot of each other since, and I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying that we have become good friends. I was asked by Wendy to talk about my own experiences and my own opinion of the Befriending service. We have all joined this fantastic service for different reasons, I'm sure, but I do believe that the underpinning thought for all of us was tackling the issue of loneliness and offering our time and our company to other people. Most of us experience loneliness at some point in our lives, but before I joined the Befriending service, I did not realise what loneliness meant to some people who cannot leave their houses without someone else's help, or cannot leave the house at all, or even cannot leave their bed. It's a completely different level of loneliness than what I experienced myself. They simply don't have a choice. So the Befriending service for me is about people who are willing to be the ones who can open the door of possibilities for other people and also for themselves. To be able to go out to a park together, have a chat about your day, win in a game of Scrabbles, read a book together, share lifelong experiences, and simply become friends with another human being. Thank you very much.
They do well. Thank you so much, everyone. So that's about it, everyone. Thank you all for coming today. A huge thank you to everyone, our wonderful ambassadors, to Jane, Jamie, Gareth and Sam. Thanks to all my wonderful volunteers, to the staff of the Town Hall, to Russell who've been overseeing this event. And lastly but not least, a big thank you to Burley and the ladies of the business and the WI who have generously provided delicious cakes that you're now about to enjoy with your cup of tea. Please chat to each other. please chat to our members, because remember, it matters to NASA. Thank you.